There we go. All right, Kevin back with you for another episode of the $1 Million Relationships Podcast. And today I'm here with Dr. Froswa Booker. Welcome. So awesome to have you on the show today.
I am so honored to be with you today, Kevin. Thank you.
After our initial conversation, I have really been looking forward to this.
Me
And
too.
I want to start off by giving a shout out to the folks at the Quoted platform because man, those guys are doing such an amazing work there. And I found out about them through a good friend of mine about a year ago. And in that last year, I have just really met some amazing guests that I've had on this podcast. And you are one of those.
Thank
And
you.
uh, and so, if anybody from Quoted happens to be looking at this, I just want to let you guys know how much I appreciate the whole team over there and what you guys are doing because you guys are making one heck of an impact. And
Yes, they are.
so, Dr. Fraser, I just, we'll just start with a nice, simple, easy question to start. What do you do and who do you serve?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because it's morphed into a couple of things.
Okay.
So the business right now, we do three buckets of work. It started off with helping organizations think about their community engagement strategies and thinking about how do they connect in areas that they may not have a presence and helping them think about how they can use their philanthropic dollars to better serve community or to get more visibility. And then it moved into noticing that a lot of these groups had organizational culture issues. And so it started being more about, okay, how can I coach senior leadership and helping them think about if you're going to build social capital externally and do that well, what
Mhm.
does it mean to build it internally? And how do you create a culture where people feel that they're seen and that people feel connected? Because that's going to show up in the external work. And then the other bucket that has come out of that is really helping coaches with it or coaching executives with executive coaching.
Okay.
So I work with a number of leaders and helping them think about purpose. Much of my work is rooted in my spiritual belief system. And although you don't have to have that same belief system, that's where I come from.
Mhm.
And always not being preachy, but always helping people to connect to the greater. And then helping them think about how do they show up. So if you're going to change communities, it starts with self. It starts with building your teams and your organization, and then ultimately impacting the communities that you want to work in and serve. And so, in terms of like clients and folks, I work with health systems to large institutional organizations to philanthropic organizations. And we've been doing this work. I started in 95 and would
Okay.
go through these ebbs and flows with the work. And then about 4 years ago, April will be 4 years that I've been full-time doing the business again. Started back, and it's just been a gift watching the way that it's not just making money, but that's good, but it's the impact and the ability to make communities better
Yeah.
because of the work that you do.
Yeah. How did you even get into doing this kind of work?
It's been 30 plus years
Hmm.
of working in community here in the Dallas, Texas area, but around the country. So, one example is I used to be VP for the State Fair of Texas, and I was over their community affairs work. Prior to that, I served as National Community Engagement Director for World Vision US programs. So I did it nationally in locations across the country with a team spread out everywhere, training organizations and working with folks through that work in rural areas, in large urban areas. So I was able to get in, I won't go through all of it, but throughout the years, I've been able to have these amazing experiences, whether it's been working with an international organization and then doing it nationally, or working with statewide initiatives, or doing it at a grassroots level. And after 35 plus years of being in this space, I've been able to build some amazing relationships, but
Hmm.
also have a track record of doing this kind of work.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That is awesome. That is awesome. So what inspires you most about doing this kind of work and making the kind of impact you get to make?
The change that you get to see. I mean,
Uh-huh.
it is amazing watching organizations change the way that they've been working, that you're able to help them with strategy. So it's not just going in and brokering partnerships. That's important. I love the relationship building and watching the magic happen with that. But it's also helping organizations map resources. We do a lot of GIS mapping and helping them identify where, they may not have even thought about connecting to. It's teaching them the history and the cultural and social and historical implications for an area. And you do that and you see light bulbs go off and you see people begin to go, now I understand. And then to see growth with a number of the organizations, you're seeing that, the people that they've been trying to reach, they now are hitting their targets. To be able to see, with a health system, being able to help them to develop with their funding a workforce program that folks are now graduating, getting livable wage jobs, and that they're able to take care of their families. To be a part of something like that, where you actually help design the program for them. I mean, I may not ever meet those students. I've gone to several of the graduations, but to have played a role in the inception of that work and still to be involved from behind the scenes, that's what inspires me every day, is just knowing that I might not directly know the people that are impacted, but to see the reports and to still hear about the change that's being made, I couldn't ask for anything better. What a gift that you get to do work that is a blessing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So what is an example of a result? And we don't have to share name names or anything like that. Or you can if you want. It's totally up to you, whatever you feel is appropriate. But what's an example of a result that you've helped a client get that you're just incredibly proud of?
Oh, there's a number of them. Without naming the organization, they were trying to connect more in two communities that are very different. One was rural and one was urban. And to watch them change their strategy, staffing model, build a playbook and an ethos of how they're doing work. And they hit their target for the number of participants that they wanted to be in their program. They were having a hard time in these communities and they could not get the participation that they wanted. Based on training their staff and working with them over a year, they're hitting their target finally. That's a gift to be able to go, yes, that happens. Or with the workforce program, the workforce program isn't just about, with this health system, it isn't just about let's get people trained in this space, but it was providing folks support services. And these support services are nonprofit organizations. So it wasn't just about them coming in doing the work. It was, let's build their capacity too. As we're building these individuals, how do we build these organizations? So now you're seeing these organizations who had budgets that, initially may have been $500,000 because of bringing in supports like grant writers, that these folks have, exceeded their budget. Many of them have doubled their budgets, if
Okay.
not with some almost tripled. So to be able to have orchestrated a program that looks at both the individual and at the organizational level, and you're watching people graduate, get jobs, cool. But these organizations are now able to serve even more people because of the investment of creating and designing a program to do that.
Yeah.
Again, that's been one of the things where you sit back and go, wow, these folks not only doubled or tripled their budget, they're now able to have more staffing.
Yep. Yep.
They're able to measure their work because now they have the infrastructure to do it. We've been able to connect them to other partners that can help them do work where they're not having to do everything themselves and build one-stop shop. But now they're building these relationships in their own ecosystems. That's been the part where you sit back and go, wow, when we were doing all those hours of designing this and providing recommendations and bringing in the relationships, you didn't know it was going to turn into something of this magnitude.
Yeah. Yeah. And how incredibly rewarding that must be, you
Mhm. It
know.
is. It
And
is.
and not only for the frontline people, but just how many lives are being impacted as a
Yeah.
result of that, and
Yeah.
you may never truly know that, but you
Mm-mm.
just know that the ripple effect is very large.
Yes.
And
Yes. Yes. And I say to people, for entrepreneurs, you can make money and do good.
Yes, you
And
can.
it may not look like the model that I'm doing because this is the work that I've been in, and it's to me it's a God ordained thing to do every day. But I think people can really begin to start understanding both of those aren't mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
That I can do things to make my community better, and I can still profit and take care of my family and help other people while I do it.
Yeah. Amen. And I candidly, I don't think God intended us to be broke because being broke
He
never helped
didn't.
nobody.
No, well, it doesn't. This is the thing. He says the poor will always be with you, but he puts those of us in position to be able to make sure that, as you see in the New Testament, there's no need among you. And so he puts us in position to serve as hands and feet so that people don't have to suffer. They may not be extremely wealthy,
Yeah.
but they don't have to be destitute either. And that
Yes.
we can create resources. When I think about, Ruth and Boaz, the way he set up his farm, in essence, was leave things for people to do where they still had dignity, but they can live and eat too. And so here you see a Ruth who gets an opportunity and Naomi who get an opportunity because of his generosity. And so he wasn't scraping on his business. He
Yeah.
still was able to have it sounds like a very successful, thriving business. And yet he was generous and God used him to bring Christ through his lineage. So
Yeah.
we can be vessels if we allow ourselves to be open and be generous.
Yes. Yeah. And I know it's, being that look, I just look at myself as, like you said, being the vessel, being the steward, whether that comes to relationships, whether that comes to money, whatever it is. And the better steward we are, the more we're given to be a steward of.
Yes. Yes.
And because reality is we ain't leaving here with none of it anyways.
None.
And once we've got our family taken care of and stuff, and we have excess over and above that, we're not meant to hoard that.
No, no, no,
That's meant
no.
to be shared.
Yeah. And it's helping people understand it's not just the tithe, because that's important. We
Yeah,
do need to give our money, but it's how do you give your time
yeah,
and you give your talent and even your testimony. I mean, you did it with quoted. It's like, hey, these people helped me.
yeah,
I wouldn't be able to do this without them. And so, how do we look at all of those as resources? And it can't just solely be testimony. We got to put other skin in the game
yeah,
too.
yeah,
But I think it's recognizing that it's this whole comprehensive set of things that God has given us to be able to impact our communities, and still our lives are blessed because of it.
yeah, yeah. Well, okay, so now that we've got a really good context set here, I want to switch gears just a little bit and I want to swing over to the relationship side of this conversation today. And so I'll start off just by asking you, Froswa, have you ever been introduced to a person or persons who completely changed the course of your life or your business, so much
Yeah.
so that much of what you have today would not be possible if not for this person or persons. And I'm just really excited to hear your story and your experience around this topic of relationships.
It's so many people, but who comes to mind immediately is a man by the name of Dr. Terry Flowers.
Okay.
When I was pregnant with my daughter, I had been teaching at a college and I got really sick. And I had applied for a dean's role. And I came in with big clothes thinking they wouldn't notice, and they knew. And finally, I admitted to them, I said, hey, I'm going to have a child. And the interview got shut. It was like they stopped the
Okay.
conversation. And I was working with a friend of mine, and she said, you should go talk to Dr. Flowers about this job. I go in, do the same thing, put on the big dress, but this time I'm like, I'm going to wait till I'm sure before I even say anything to him. And so we talked for a long time and he offers me the job. And I said, well, I should tell you I'm pregnant. He goes, I know. I could see. He said, you just thought I thought you were a little bit bigger. I was like, mm-hmm. And so he's like, I have three daughters. I already know. And so he said, when can you start? And I'm like, 2 weeks, I'll start. I had to call Terry Flowers back and say, I can't take the job right now. I'm on bed rest. And I was very sick with my daughter. And my husband at the time was like, oh my God, you might lose this job because I was on bed rest from June until I had her in August.
Okay.
And then I
Okay.
had to call him back and say, I can't come back until October. He kept the job.
Wow.
And
Wow.
he hired me, and I learned so much about developing programs in community and managing budgets and relationship building and strategy. And St. Philip's School and Community Center was transformative. And I say to people, I couldn't do what I'm doing now without his investment of time and wisdom in me. And what is crazy is I left there in 2005. He is still in my life today. And
That
he is
is
a
what a gift.
mentor. They actually had one of my former students do a portrait of me that's hanging up on the wall in the school. And the fact that he allowed me to come in and dream and transform. Anytime I had an idea, he would go do it. He never said, you can't do that. We don't have the money. He goes, figure it out, make it happen. I am so thankful to the presence that he's been in my life. And then what's so crazy is his children and one of his daughters in particular. I just had dinner with her the other night. I remember when she started college. I knew her when she was in elementary, but she started college and I got a chance to spend time with her. And throughout the years, she would always keep in touch with me. And the fact that this generation of his children, I'm still involved in their lives and mentoring and giving her wisdom. I'm just so grateful for the role that he's played for me. He and his wife have just been wonderful people and just allowing me to grow.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. And that is awesome that, that this relationship has been one of those relationships that's just been a really long-standing relationship for each of you and stuff. I've got some relationships like that. I've got one that goes back 35 years. And that's over half my life.
Yes, it's a blessing,
Yeah.
that you can have that. But I'm blessed because I have a number of people. My best friends, the three, I've had them in my life since I was 11, one of them. The other was probably 12. And the other one may have been 11 or 12. They're still my friends, and I'm almost 56. And so to have had people walk with you, I just believe in having that kind of longevity. If you'll let me be there, I will stay. And
Yeah.
if you don't let go of me, I won't let go of you.
Yeah. Yeah. Seriously, yeah, I have three guy friends that I've known since we were kids and stuff. And we get together, probably every month or two, and just get together for breakfast or what have you. And it's been
A
just really cool
blessing.
having them in my life all these years.
It's a
And none of
blessing.
them are entrepreneurs. And
Mine aren't either. Well,
yeah,
one is. Yeah, one is.
so, well, so I want to dig deeper into this with you. So, what is an example of a situation where you personally got to make a really substantial impact, and yet you also know that would have not been possible if not for your relationship with Dr. Flowers? What's an example of something like that?
So there is a young lady who is going to probably go Froswa. Bimnet Mashesha is a young lady that I've been able to do the opposite with for her.
Okay. Okay.
So when she was in college, I was speaking at a huge event here in Dallas, and one of her friends came up and said she wants to meet you. And I have always had this philosophy that young people should be able to have access because I remember very early in my career, I had some people who were older who were not very open to me because I didn't have the title and I didn't have the influence. And so because of that, I just vowed I don't ever want to do that to someone. Well, we met and I told her, let's have lunch. And I ended up bringing her on to do volunteering. And I had a plan. I was like, I'm going to hire her. Ended up interviewing her. My staff fell in love with her, hired her. She worked with me at World Vision, and then I brought her to the state fair with me. So Bim stayed with me probably 6, 7 years total in both of those roles, which was a gift. And then she left and became a VP of an organization. She
Wow.
hired me to come in and do consulting. So she was my boss for that year project. And that did something for me because it's like you don't know when you're building these kinds of relationships and just being helpful and trying to, be available that someone will see you in that way and go, I still want to be around you. We actually have been working together on another project that's launching, and she brought me in. She had been building it for years, and she brought me in and said, I just need you and your wisdom. And this morning, she's texting me because we're about to do this big event next Monday. And she's texting, who do you think needs to be in the room? And the fact that she still values me and my knowledge and wisdom and honors me is a gift. And so she is an example of probably what Dr. Flowers has done for me, that I have been able to do that for her.
Yeah. Wow. Man, what a beautiful story that is. And how it just circles back around,
Yes,
and how
yes.
you helped her. And then she ended up hiring you and bringing you into this company she's working with. And wow,
Yes.
that is so awesome.
And became good friends with her boss. That's a crazy thing is that, her boss and I are really good friends, but it was her making the introduction and going, you need to know my CEO, and I want you to work with her and help us transform this organization. What a gift.
Yeah.
And so I really, believe in this ideal of social capital. I don't think people recognize, relationships are currency,
Yes, they
and
are.
helping
They
people recognize
absolutely.
we can get so caught up in money. And I tell people, you don't have a money problem, you have a relationship problem. You
Mhm.
get the right relationships, you'll get access to what you need. And it's helping entrepreneurs get to a place where they're not so busy that they don't have time to go build those. It's not passing out cards and doing the networking, but it really is thinking about how do you serve people well. And in doing that, it's opened up so many doors for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're so right. Yeah, just being of service to people,
Yes.
and I'll tell you, the more we can be of service to the right people, the more valuable we become to them.
Yes.
And this whole thing, especially in this crazy digital AI world that we are now in, not only are relationships currency, but trust is
Oh,
currency.
yes,
Trust is a
absolutely.
huge currency.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
just holding that space for people and just being able to be that person that they just know I can count on them. I
They'll
can,
get it done.
yeah, yeah. And that is just a huge thing.
It is.
And well, for anybody who might be listening to this going, wow, Kevin, I really like Dr. Froswa. I like who she is and how she shows up. And maybe they're thinking like, man, I'd really like to talk with her about some of the stuff that we're working on, or maybe I know somebody else that I'd like to connect with her and stuff. Any websites, any resources we can share with folks?
Yeah, people can find me on LinkedIn. It's
Okay.
Froswa Booker Drew on LinkedIn. And then my website is Dr. Froswa Booker.
Okay.
So feel free. It's easy to find me, and I do respond.
That's awesome. And I'll make sure we include those links with the podcast interview and stuff too. Um, is there any last thing that you feel led to share before we call it a wrap?
Oh, no, I'm just honored to have had the time. I know we could go on and on, but I hope people walk away feeling that you've got power in your relationships, that anything that you want is usually connected to people. So
Yeah.
build relationships, love people well.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to have this conversation today. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you. And I'm
You.
looking forward to sharing this with a lot of the right kind of people. So thanks so
Thank you,
much.
Kevin. Thank
You
you.
bet. You bet.